Well, hello and welcome once again to Hornets on Video for the second part in the two-match away video special. Today's game from the Monk Stadium here between Rochdale York and Rochdale Hornets. Well, it's certainly been a very enlightening experience for all Hornets on Video team to travel around the team for the recent away matches. And there are a lot of rumours flying around Scotland as to what the team actually get up to on some of these long coach journeys. Some people seem to think that all the team do basically is a lot of drinking, gambling and watching blue movies. But nothing could be further from the truth. The team, I can reassure you all, are all strictly teetotalers, and the team bring on board with them all their various different games, such as Monopoly, Ludo, games of chess and games of snakes and ladders. Some players bring their own jigsaw puzzles. Packs of cards and studying all the latest horse racing form is strictly not allowed by the management. Occasionally we do of course watch a video. These of course are provided by Bob Marsden. But they tend to show you all the inside story of various different European cultures. I'm told for the trip back from York today, we'll be watching Bob's latest video, which will be the further adventures of Dougal and Florence on the Magic Roundabout. And I can hardly wait for that mouth-watering prospect. Right, well now on to more serious matters. The Stones Bitter Division 2 Championship, and at long last the Division 2 Championship is beginning to take shape. It's quite obvious to me that it's going to be Rochdale, Oldham and Sheffield be involved in promotion, with Lee and Carlisle fighting it out for mid-table. It looks like relegation will be between two teams from either Workington at London Crusaders or today's host team, Rochdale York. A couple of results from the week. During this week, Sheffield defeated Carlisle at home. Wasn't too much of a surprise in that. But Oldham going down again, this time away to Lee, and Oldham are certainly having a poor run of form at the moment, and we'll of course hope that will continue. Well, Rochdale York, of course, today are currently bottom of the second division without a point. Of course, sooner or later, Rochdale York are going to beat somebody, and let's hope it's not at the expense of Rochdale Hornets this afternoon. Right, well, as usual, we're going to bring in with all the dulcet tones of Stephen Royal for his usual smooth, calm, unbiased commentary. So it's over to you now, Steve, for today's latest team news. Good afternoon, Steve.
Yes, good afternoon, Roy, and it's very wet and, well, it's a windy, cold, blustery day here at York this afternoon. This Monks Cross Stadium. The two captains in the centre of the field. I'll go through the team news for you, beginning with the Rochdale York side. Quite a few changes again. The full-back Paul Hutchinson, the three-quarters Lee Deakin, Stu Morris, Adrian Smith and Paul White. At half-back it's Nick Pinkney and Steve Thompson. And the forwards, Ian Paver, Stuart Horton and Rich Hayes in the front row. The Price brothers, Steve and Jeff in the second row, with Graham Sullivan at loose forward. The Hornets side line up with Dave Webster at full-back. The three-quarters, Carl Marriott, Darren Abraham, Matt Callan back after suspension and Brian Garrity. At half-back it's Brett Clark and Jeff Bimson. And the forwards, Tony Humphries, Martin Hall and Bob Marsden. We've got Bob Eccles and Paul Cassini making a powerful second row, with Mike Cuiti in loose forward. So, Carl Marriott, first man to touch the ball. Hornets are playing with this breeze in the first half. And Pete Gilmore straight away, not happy that the York defenders going back the full 5 yards. Hornets have had some of the best results with Peter Gilmore in the middle. That's a good kick for touch. Bob Eccles using that breeze. He's pushed the Rochdale York side back towards the 22. And unfortunately Martin Hall didn't release the ball. Well, I think one of a number of decisions could have been given there. So here go York, moving the ball out into the three-quarters. Tackle well in from Darren Abraham on Stu Morris. Steve Price. Brother Jeff, but they cut him out. Mike Cuiti, good cover tackle underneath us. Steve Dobson working the plays. Stuart Horton, this industrious hooker, he's pulled down by Bob Marsden. Again it's Steve Price, well tackled. Interference after the play of the ball there by the hooker. Stuart Horton concedes that penalty. Oh, did Mike Cuiti point towards the post? Well, this is a long, long way, even with a breeze. Yeah, Pete Gilmore asked Bob Eccles again, and Bob Eccles is going to take a shot at goal. This must be some 6 or 7 yards inside the Hornets half. Although the breeze behind Bob Eccles, it's still a long kick. Oh, gets right underneath it. Oh, but the York defenders there, well, they're looking at each other. I think the man at fault there was Steve Price. He allowed the ball to bounce, so Hornets rather fortunate to get it back. And there's an indication of strength of the wind, that drop out. So Hornets on attack, Bob Marsden, not just timing his run. Tony Humphries puts that down. Rich Hayes, superbly tackled by Mike Cuiti. Jeff Price, most experienced player in this Rydale York team. Paver taking it up strongly. Probably remember last season he was sent off at Scotland. And a knock on there from Rydale. And I'm sure, Roy, this wind going to play a big part in the handling of this game.
Yes, both sides haven't really strung a decent passing movement together really so far. It's a game battling against the elements, but Price has played quite well for York so far, the big number 12, so he's perhaps at one to keep a lookout for. But nothing very much to report at this stage. Very even so far, Steve. Perhaps not.
Yeah, well, that's a good run from Graham Sullivan. He's took it upfield. Hornets unfortunately losing a scrum against the head when they're in good field position. So Rydale trying to post first points. It'd be a good confidence booster for them. They haven't won a game yet. And Hornets have conceded a penalty, pulling back the man not in possession. Darren Abrams picked out. So now there's a penalty effort for York. So this won't be an easy conversion. It's right on the 22, wind again strongly. And see the strength of that wind, drifted it well wide. Bob Eccles kicks that one quickly, clears over the York defence. Well, that's a super kick from Bob Eccles, really has pushed York back. Mike Cuiti solid in on Paul Hutchinson. Little bit high by Bob Marsden on Rich Hayes. Paver. Ball's gone backwards. Steve Dobson was on that well. Steve Price. Ball being strung out. Bad ball, well taken. Getting out of the tackles, that's Graham Sullivan. Eventually an illegal one coming in from Bob Marsden. So Rydale making good progress against this stiff breeze. Again, it's an indication. And a bad ball that from Stuart Horton. Rich Hayes having to pick that one up round his ankles. Obviously the hand's very cold out there. This time Mike Cuiti works the scrum. Jeff Bimson picked up quickly. Bob Eccles Rydale team in quickly off the mark to get to Marsden. Gets it to Martin Hall. Jeff Bimson, Brett Clark, Mike Kuwaiti looking for options, back to Dave Webster. Dave Webster up from full back. Good ball and all tackle from Price. Bob Eccles, little chip over the top, it's into the danger area, but very well picked up by Paul Hutchinson. And Hutchinson runs it back some 20 yards. Brett Clark collects an injury. And this Rydale crowd really getting behind the team. Still searching for the first win in this newly formed second division. Dobson, wrong footing players. Coming out again. In the line, Paul Hutchinson, back to Price. But interception by Martin Hall. Gets it to Mike Kuwaiti. Mike Kuwaiti back to Bob Marsden. Oh, what a super try by Hornets. Well, that's fine opportunist work there. Martin Hall got a great ball out to Mike Kuwaiti. And what super backing up that is from a prop forward. Bob Marsden raced some 50 yards with that ball to score under the post. So Roy, out to nothing, the first try for Hornets, and yet another good try on an away ground.
Yes, that was super stuff, and that will go into our 101 or 1-5 one try special at the end of the season. But York were pressing there a little bit, and you can tell their crowds were very wrapped up in it. They're without a win, and it'll be a hard game for the Hornets this. But that might just knock the spirits of the York team down a peg or two there. It's a magnificent try, that, and a great start to the game for us.
Yes, that try coming, Roy, in the 10th minute. Bob Eccles should have no difficulty slotting this one over. No problem at all. So, good start for Hornets. Hadn't really looked threatening until that point. That ball floated into space. Tony Humphries underneath it. Well, Tony Humphries unfortunately fumbling. So this will put Rydale on attack. Steve Dobson well picked up by Jeff Bimson at the base of the scrum. Let's see if Hornets now can put in the defensive work that they need to. Good yardage that by Rich Hayes. Good line out on this side for York. That's the way they're going to bring it through Paver. Paulo Cassini meets him. Good quick play the ball by the home side. Let's give Price the opportunity to run. He's brought down. Brian Garrett is trying to wave players out on this side. They really are looking short to cover here on it. And that ball kicked dead. Good control by Sullivan. Versatile player, this loose forward, playing any position. Price. Horton waving people across, gives it Dobson. Brings it back into the forwards. Oh, did he just try a little one there on Martin Hall? Well, he escaped. Dobson again, making the plays. Again going back inside. Last tackle, good defence from Hornets. Rich Hayes swings it out. Sullivan with the kick. Ball holds up in the breeze, Dave Webster takes it. Fortunately couldn't catch it on the full, which would have meant a 22 tap. So the Hornets forwards going to have to do it the tough way from their own line. Tony Humphries. Sure they'll be looking for a long kick from Bob Eccles. First Bob Marsden takes the drive. Thinks about offloading. Eccles is back under the post for this kick. Charge down. So it's back to 1. Dave Webster well in. Could have been chance of a try if he hadn't fallen on that ball. So on, it's having to defend Manfley. And the Rydale York player diving into the ruck. Not allowed to handle that ball till it's cleared those marker positions. So Hornets will be grateful of that penalty. Although it's totally miscued by Bob Eccles. Tony Humphries drives it to the 22. Bob Marsden coming strong again. Well tackled by the Price brothers. Mike Kuwaiti. Well, a little bit of holding down. And there goes the penalty. Well, that stupid play. Stuart Horton had an extra dig there with Mike Kuwaiti. Silly play from the hooker. And Bob Eccles kicks this one a lot better. That takes play midway between the halfway and the Rydale York 22. Martin Hall. Tony Humphries is going to come up. Cries are forward from the crowd underneath us. Majority of the crowd on this stadium are underneath our commentary position. A fine contingent from Hornets today again. Good tackle, Tony Humphries. That tackle was on Nick Pinckney, the under-21 international. Not really seen much of him yet. Here he goes now, trying to chip through. Jeff Bimson picks it up from the sweeper position. Brett Clark quickly to Bimson. Gets it to Bob Eccles. Matt Cowland. Rydale York playing a similar defensive system to London Crusaders. Tightly packed in the middle of the field. Hornets trying to get round the outside. Well done, Mike Kuwaiti. Brings up the last tackle. He's being held down here. Darren Abrams is with the kick. Puts it up. It's a difficult ball. Oh, beautifully taken by Hutchinson. Well, what a superb take that was from the York fullback. Ball's out in the tackle to Price. Looks like Darren Abrams, who stayed down on that far side. Again, Sullivan. 17 minutes played. Four tackles gone. Dobson inside ball. Goes back off York hands. They'll have to rearrange though for the last tackle. It's a quick play the ball. Good one. But that ball out on the full from Graham Sullivan. Paulo Cassini. Tony Humphries. Bob Eccles. Good tackle by Sullivan, trying to make up for his mistake. Bobby Marsden as the lights go on. Well, there's a Substitute warming up on the Hornets bench as Martin Hall drills that one down inside the 22. And it's Darren Abrams, the man who's going to unfortunately have to leave the field in these early stages. Steve Turner will come on. I imagine Cal Marriott will probably move into the centre. Oh, and York have worked that scrum, but they've knocked the ball on after a spell working up in Scotland. Matt Calland on the crash ball from Brett Clark, well wrapped up. Dave Webster's making a run. Good work from the full-back, he's inched that ball forwards. Bob Marsden almost breaking through. So Hornets are working this ball well towards the line. There looks to be a big overlap on this side. It's coming out that way through Mike Kuwaiti. Dave Webster trying to go into the corner. And in fact, been brought back for the forward pass. But a promising move that one, Roy, on. It's having the numbers on that far side.
Yes, York was certainly struggling a little bit there in defence. Good move that by Hornets, starting to get the handling and passing sorted out. A lot of mistakes. It's a very cold sort of raw sort of day here in York. But not that much in it between the two teams at this stage. And as I said, the York crowd are very much caught up in this match. If they see any glimmer of a hope of their team winning, they get right behind their side. So Hornets have got a battle on, but that was a good move. That's encouraging. Let's hope for a bit more passing movements like that in the rest of this half.
Thank you, Roy. York are moving this ball effectively away from their own line. Good dummy. Bob Marsden picks the man up from behind. Certainly they don't look like a team that's not won yet in the league this season. The solitary victory coming in the Yorkshire Cup against Hunslet. Dave Webster quickly picked up. Sure, York will be quite happy. They've faced this strong breeze now for 23 minutes. Just conceded the one score. Bob Eccles angles that one down. Paul Hutchinson allows it to roll dead. Good tackle, Mike Kuwaiti. Sullivan again. Good driving run. Horton spins that ball out, but not really the sort of ball you want to be throwing on an afternoon like this. Stu Morris unable to handle. So let's see if Hornets can work on this position. Graham Sullivan detached himself from the scrum before the ball came out. Penalty awarded to Hornets via differential. Bob Eccles will have to put it into touch. So let's see what Hornets can do from this position. And again, Martin Hall, he's been brought back. Being told by referees, he's got to put the ball on the floor and leave it. So that's allowed York to regain possession. Unfortunate for Hornets that. And the York forwards have detached from that scrum quickly. They're coming out. What a belting tackle from Paul Ocassini. Well, I think we'll have 101 big hits of the season. This man Ocassini certainly puts them down. Well, he's having a few words here. It's Ian Paver again. Fortunately, that one sorts itself out without the game being stopped, but I'm sure Pete Gilmore at the next stoppage will get all the two players involved and Tell them exactly what he thinks of that. Cal Marriott upended inside his own 22. Kuwaiti. Graham Sullivan's got the measure of him on that occasion. Jeff Bimpson. Ball's gone back to Bob Eccles. He's put under pressure by the Stuart Horse and the hooker. Paul Hutchinson. And this time Paul Ocassini uncharacteristically misses his man. Paul White coming field, looking for work the winger. Paver. Price. Brett Clark to Kuwaiti, back to Brett Clark. Bob Eccles straightening it up. Unfortunately, no one can just break through this stiff defence. Clark again to Kuwaiti, quick ball to Matt Callan. But the ball eludes the grasp of the Hornets centre. So 25 minutes gone. Oh, and one against head that. For Hornets, no, he's brought back. So again, it's on defence. Played well against this strong wind up to now of Rydale York. Sure, Hornets will want more than 6 points on the board at the interval. The one thing they certainly won't want to do is concede a try. Well, again, that ball's dangerously out. And again, it could lead to an Hornets break through Matt Callan. Callan just tripped up, but he's come to Martin Hall. Hall's got through to Garrity. Well, good work again by Hornets from a mistake. Brett Clark does well to collect that one in. Jeff Bimpson. Well, the support just a little bit too far away to risk the pass. Again, it's not a good ball to Brett Clark. He's soon smothered. Martin Hall, Mike Kuwaiti, unfortunately no one really moving. To Dave Webster. And Dave Webster's conceded the penalty. Steve Dobson. Brian Garrity's well in off this wing. Spotted the man well. So nothing just going for Hornets at the moment. Pinkney, inside ball. But Hayes is well tackled by the two Hornets props. The play centre field as Pinkney goes on a run round. Last tackle, let's see what Dobson does. Puts it up. Well, this ball could end up anywhere. Ends up with the turnover. Gaps on the far side if Hornets can transfer it out there. It's where Tony Humphries is looking to go. It's come eventually to Cal Marriott. Cal Marriott's put it out there on the wing. Good into play, but unfortunately the ball goes down. Well, I'm sure if Darren Abrams had been 100% fit, he'd have probably torn down that touchline and scored. Don't look like he's totally shaken off the effects of the injury. And a good ball there now. It's with Rochdale York coming in. Paul White's ended up with it. Dobson looking for runners. Horton plays it to Pinckney. Well wrapped up. Last tackle. Again, Dobson's the man to kick it. Well, it's way back to one. I thought it rather at the back of Bob Eccles. But the referee's saying that he played that ball back on. Price driving strongly for the post. Well, Jeff Bimson's trying to get cover out onto this right-hand side. And that's where the ball's gone. Oh, and a good tackle. It's right on the Hornets line. Mike Cowland involved. Price smuggles it out. Last tackle again. Dug it on its defence. And the try's been given. Well, Stu Morris buried his way in. 2 or 3 Hornets defenders were there. And well, Roy, that a disaster really for Hornets on the last tackle. Sloppy play there from the acting half-back position.
That's right. Well, I felt it's no more than York deserve, really. They've been putting Hornets under a lot of pressure there, and I feel that they put this one over. I feel that 6-6, if it's going to be that, will be a fair reflection. But it's a hard game today, a real battle, and the Hornets might have just underestimated York perhaps a little bit here today. We're going to have to battle away to get these league points. York, remember, they're desperate for a win here this afternoon.
Yes, York, they have improved in recent weeks. Run Sheffield and Oldham close. Oh, and that's an absolutely superb kick by Graham Sullivan. Atmosphere here at this Monk's Old Stadium. Really the advantage at the moment, line with Rochdale York, 6 points all. Just 8 minutes left for Hornets to try and use this strong wind. The York tackling's been good. Again, it's a good ball out, Paver to Price. Good tackle, Brett Clark. Sullivan prods that one down to Dave Webster. Takes a solid tackle. Brian Garrity. Well, it's good defence. Martin Hall tries to make progress with the kick. Nobody will cut that one off. Finds touch some 10 yards outside the 22. No problem for Steve Dobson. Out to Pinckney. Pinckney ducking tackles, looking for runners. Darren Abrams looks well restored. But the knock-ons come from Steve Dobson. So can Hornets try and get in the ascendancy before the interval. Scoreboard to our left says 5 minutes 40 seconds to go. It's Brett Clark. Webster from acting halfback. Bobby Marsden. Again, the York's forwards tackling. The two Price brothers doing a majority of the work. And Bob Eccles knocks that one on. Adrian Smith coming round from the blind side. Good dummy again. Dobson's had an industrious first half. Hayes, second by Bob Marsden. Price. Jeff Bimson trying to duck under. Gets it to Martin Hall. Good play there. Fortunately, it's now on the last tackle. Brett Clark. It's thrown anywhere by Jeff Benson but kept alive. Brett Clark again, shoots it over. It's down to fullback. Oh, he's made a mess of that one. Well, Paul Hutchinson, first real mistake. Really is essential that they have some sort of lead when they turn into this win second half. And Mike Kuiti's brought it out to Brian Garrity, and Brian Garrity knocks that ball on. Well, Mike Kuiti had made the space for the Hornets winger. Really should have taken that chance. Mind you, it can't be easy today playing on the wing. I'm sure Brian Garrity's hands must be really cold. So Hornets will certainly have to look for better ball control in the second half. One thing is though, it's certainly easier to pass the ball into the wind. Knock on. Tony Humphries getting his hand in. Pinkney. Taken down under a big challenge. Well, the players quickly milling round. No need for this really to happen. It's been a clean first half. Certainly a hint of a spear tackle though. Penalty quickly taken. Rydell York looking confident. Really don't look like a side searching for the first win. Horton switching play to Paver. Ball swept out. And that's the end of the first 40 minutes here at York. And really it's going to be Hornets with it all to do when they turn into this wind for the second half. The half-time score, 6 points all. The home side, a try from Stu Morris. And in reply, just a try from Bob Marsden, following that good work from the Hornets forwards. So we'll be back with all the second half action shortly. Straight back in the action then. Bob Eccles kicks that ball into the wind. Allowed to bounce by the York defenders. And straight away, Graham Sullivan making their retentions clear. Dave Webster watches that one bounce over the dead ball line. Bob Marsden. Tony Humphries. The only thing, of course, is if York give on, it's too much ball. Might run out of steam with all the tackling they've got to do. Mike Kuiti running from deep. Jeff Bimson, he's caught. Brett Clark turns it back inside to Bob Marsden. On to Martin Hall. Martin Hall fumbles. Ball works its way back to Paul Hutchinson. Gets a good ball out there to Dobson. Horton on its defence, not really up. Dobson again looking for runners. Brings in Paver. Here's the number 10. Well spotted, Mike Kuiti. Last tackle. Good tackle though from Paulo Cassini. Didn't allow Steve Dobson to duck underneath him. Bob Eccles. Brett Clark bringing it out to Dave Webster. Jeff Bimson, well picked up by Price. Looked like he might have just ducked through. Hall to Eccles, Eccles using experience. Back to Bob Marsden. That's better from the Hornets forwards. But they're running out of tackles, it is the last tackle. Switched it on that blind side, Mike Kuiti, a little chip through. Let's see what the York tactic is. I'm sure they'll just take a couple of drives, push this ball downfield, probably try and make Hornets make a mistake. Here comes the line. This looks like the kick. Comes from Dobson. Brian Garrity collects it well. Sensibly holds on. Jeff Bimson taking a drive while the forwards organise themselves. Bob Marsden. Brett Clark, a little bit short of numbers out here with Paulo Cassini. Does well though, out to Carl Marriott. Brett Clark fanning the ball across. It's to Mike Kuiti. Knocked down by a Rydell York hand. Looked like Stu Morris, who wandered in from his centre position. Big centre. Very similar looking in build to the York prop forward, Ian Paver. Jeff Bimson escaped Steve Dobson on this occasion. Nick Pinkney though picked him up in backfield. Good run by Tony Humphries. Darren Abrams stepping. Bimson taken down. York looked offside there, sneaked up while Pete Gilmore was sorting out the fracas. And on, it's under plenty of pressure, last tackle. Mike Kuiti's got to decide what to do, puts the kick upfield. Easy for Dobson to feed onto his fullback Hutchinson. Martin Hall covering the ball well. Price. Horton on the run round. Last tackle signalled. Ball prodded down over the line. Cal Marriott should be able to let that one roll dead. Matt Callan up quickly. Good run by Callan. Well, he's been brought back for the penalty. So the experienced Jeff Price makes way for Mark Laws. 6.5 minutes of this second period gone. Bob Eccles choosing to place the ball, trying to keep it low. Well, he makes 10 yards. Home fans shout for a forward pass. Ignored by the official. The York forwards driving Bob Eccles backwards. Bob Marsden. Brett Clark trying to get things moving. Clark again is taken down. Bob Eccles, well fed out by Hall there to Mike Kuiti. We're getting its last tackle on, it's unable to get it out to their own half. Down Abram with the kick, again it's down for Hutchinson. Paver, well taken. Price. Bad ball. Knocked on underneath us by Adrian Smith. But really at the moment, Roy, it's unable to penetrate against this stiff wind and stiff defence.
Yes, very much indeed, and it's like I say, the Hornets are only 6 points on the scoreboard in the first half, and that's probably not looking as if it might not be enough. Although York played well against the conditions, maybe it might have the effect that Hornets have to play that much better against this fierce wind. The Hornets haven't got into the York half very often so far in these early stages. Wind, well, just 10 minutes gone in the second half. But anybody's game, Steve, at the moment.
Yes, thank you, Roy. Still 6-all on the board, despite the conditions. Darren Abram again, he's tackled well. Brett Clark. Jeff Bimson. Regains his feet, does well Jeff Bimson. Brings it out to Mike Kuiti, he's flattened off the ball. It's Dave Webster though in the meantime to Tony Humphries. Darren Abram. Well, I don't think any of the officials have picked that up in back play. Jeff Bimson tackle without the ball. Brett Clark chips through. And it's got to be kicked dead. Steve Dobson in cover. So at last on, it's managed to put some pressure on this York line. Dave Webster sensibly using his feet. Picks it up. Cal Marriott. Bob Marsden, good run, back to Martin Hall. The Hornets front row working hard again. Brett Clark, that ball a little bit out in front of him. So the home fans rise again. Price stepping around. Price making good progress. Paulo Cassini using his shoulder. Pinkney. Good work by Brett Clark. That's a good kick there, down inside the Hornets 22. Finds touch, looked like Rich Hayes, the prop forward, who neatly angled that ball into the corner. Fortunately, ball just been mishandled by Brett Clark. Well in from Brian Garrity. Bob Marsden. Mike Cuity not really taking that ball running, but he's got it out. Touch Judge well in to stop that developing. But Hornets really unable to make any progress at all. It's last tackle. Brett Clark just forced to kick it down. So Hornets now going to be forced to defend this ball just outside their 22. Looked like a clash of heads, but both players have got up from that. I wonder if York will just drive to the post and then try a drop goal. In fact, no, they bring it out to this near side. Dobson kicks through. Too deep though. Dave Webster allows that ball to go dead. Looks like Simon Bamba has stripped off on the Hornets bench. Paulo Cassini gets it out to Matt Callan. Matt Callan making a good break. Brian Garrity, I think, held back. Cuity out to Jeff Bimson. Bimson looking for the break. Great tackle by Price. Cal Marriott running round his forwards. Paul White follows him. Good ball, quick ball out to Matt Callan. Matt Callan going towards the line. Ball comes in field. Scooped up by York. Well, the best piece of play we've seen. The ball moved quickly out to Matt Callan. He had a little bit of space. Had to throw the ball back inside. Well, an offence in the tackle. Illegal use of the foot. And Paulo Cassini, he's been taken off. Simon Bamba's come on to replace him, and he's going to have to go into this defence now. Home fans really getting behind the team, looking for the first win in the league this season. Hornets forwards going to have to tackle like they did last week at London. A little bit too elaborate in these conditions. No doubt about that, offside. I think half the York forwards up inside the 5 before that ball emerged, Roy.
Yes, a little bit of a break for us there, and Jeff Vincent's having quite a useful game this afternoon. He's looking busy, but the Hornets, once they get the handling sorted out, as we saw there with Matt Callan going in the corner, once Hornets get the handling flowing, there's nothing really to stop the winning here today, but it's York feel they've got a good chance here. Couple of interesting half-time scores. One of them anyway, Oldham are losing at home to Workington Town by 12 points to 6 at the Watershedding, so their poor run of form is continuing. So there might be a few, well, hopefully that'll be the only shot result today, Steve.
Yeah, and there was a half chance on that far side there for Rydell York, Roy. But eventually the ball would work loose. Well, it's York's putting. I'm a little bit surprised. I thought they definitely had possession and lost it after making advantage. But it's another set of 6 for Hornets to defend against around their own 22 line. So York now looking for a big attack here. Well, Hayes has made good progress, rounding Mike Kuiti. It's through to the centre. He's wrapped up well, Adrian Smith. Pinkney's in at acting half-back. What's he going to try? He's pushed it back to Dobson. Dobson out. Surprise. Well, a good run for Price and Hornets are really short of numbers on that far side. It's on the last tackle. He's picked up on that far side by White, the winger. And a good tackle on their own line though by the Hornets backs. Well, heart-stopping moments for the Hornets bench. But it's got to be run out of defence. Can't use the kick to much effect against this wind. Good yardage by Tony Humphries. Bob Marsden. A lot's going to depend on the driving run of the two Hornets forwards. 1,400, so it's not a bad gate for a side who are really anchored at the bottom of the division. A lot of Hornets supporters have made the journey here though today. Well, there's a break on this far side. It looks like Pinkney who's making, sets himself on the corner. Nick Pinkney could go all the way. Darren Abraham tackles back well. Dobson in possession. Dobson's weaving. Brett Clark brilliantly out of defence, cuts down the man. Paver, there's still room for York to run in on. It's still regathering the forces. Price picks it up on the bounce. Dobson looking for runners. Cuts out the man, he goes Hutchinson, the full-back. Inside ball to the brought forward there, and it's a try for Riches. And really, it had to come, and you can see the jubilation on the York faces. Well, a hint of obstruction as Dobson went across that line. He picked the runner, Paul Hutchinson, the full-back. And really, the inside ball to Riches was a good one. And the Hornets defence, unfortunately, has been breached for the second time this afternoon. So Pinkney lines up the conversion attempt. And he puts that one successfully between the posts. So Hornets with a real uphill battle now. In fact, it's Graham Sullivan who converted that try. Well, the confidence now from York, they're really starting to play. Steve Dobson. Dobson kicks it downfield. Looks like it's going to roll dead. Brian Garrity shepherds it across that line. Tony Humphries. Bob Eccles tries to change the direction. Mike Kuwaiti to Jeff Bimson. Good work by Brett Clark to Bob Marsden. Mike Kuwaiti again, but not really much progress being made for all the passing. Back to one, came off York hands with Simon Bamber. Good break for Hornets. Matt Calland. I think Matt Calland might be one of the keys to this game now. Bob Marsden. Mike Kuwaiti wrapped up well again. Bob Eccles to Martin Hall. Fortunately the cover comes across, chops him down. Dave Webster, Brett Clark, Darren Abrams. Oh, the ball's gone loose. There could be a big break on here for York. Well, I think Paul White really might have been better kicking that ball downfield. So on it's at the scrum to Brett Clark. Can Brett Clark show the inspiration to get this game pulled back? To Simon Bamber. Best spell of Hornets pressure since the half. Bob Marsden. Bob Marsden could go all the way, and what a super try by Bob Marsden. Wow, what strong running again from the Hornets prop forward. Well, that should give Hornets renewed heart, and importantly, he scored close to the post. So Roy, thankfully after the first bit of Hornets pressure this half, Bob Marsden again with his strong runnings got Hornets right back into this game.
Yes, that was a super try. This is like a cup tie, this match. It's a tremendous game. If you're a neutral, it's real end-to-end stuff. But Bob Marsden there saw a gap in the York defence, timed his run perfectly, and you won't see a much better try than that for quite some time. But it puts Hornets back in the match, and so Bob Eccles just got to take his time here. But Hornets have been under siege, and maybe, or hopefully York are perhaps a bit burnt out at this stage, but let's just hope that Bob Eccles can just put this one over and make the scores levels. Not very long to go really now. I think we're into the last 15, 16 minutes, Steve. How long is to go?
15 minutes to go, right.
15 minutes to go, so our heart-stopping last quarter hour coming up, I think.
Well, that's certainly put the Catam on the pigeons. There's been a blood bin substitution on the Rydell York side. Looks like Jeff Price has come back. And Bob Eccles slots that conversion. So the blood bin substitution for Rydell York. Jeff Price coming up. As you said, right, it's like a cup tie atmosphere here now. That ball peppered down to Matt Calland. Calland could go all the way through. Matt Calland, what a good run. Oh, and he's lost the ball in the tackle. Well, Darren Abram was outside. If he could have got that ball out, it could have been a real match-winning try, but unfortunately the ball was dropped. Can't really fault Matt Calland. Perhaps he should have just covered it up as the tacklers came in. But obviously he sensed the break. Four tackles gone. I wonder how long it'll be before we see York try a pop at a drop goal. Well, Horton's lined it up right in front of the post. Dobson's had a go. Dave Webster sensibly ducks out of the way. Scoreboard to our left, ticking down the minutes. 12 minutes 45 seconds. Brett Clark to Simon Bamber, the Hornets substitute. Dave Webster. Go Webby, steady on its forwards. Go he does to the halfway line. Brett Clark. Well picked up by Martin Hall. Simon Bamber looking for space, gets to Brett Clark. Brett Clark looking for his runners. Brett Clark could find an inside ball here to Jeff Bimpson. Jeff Bimpson with support. And the ball eventually hacked dead, but it's gone forward off on its hands. Well, a good little attack that, the two half-backs tying up well, causing the York defence an uncomfortable moment. Dobson looks to scrum out again. The wind, if anything, just dying down a little bit. I'm sure it's fairly strong down there on the pitch. Important for Hornets not to concede any penalties. Keep the tackling sure. Tony Humphries tries to get across, but that kick's got him well. Again, it's going dead. In fact, no, Dave Webster decides that ball might not have travelled. Probably right, it did just pop up a little bit on the bounce. Carl Marriott.
Left.
Mike Kuiti. Bob Eccles. Last tackle. Brett Clark kicks it. Easily fielded on this side though by Lee Deakin. I'm sure this time again York will probably line it up for a drop goal effort. Adrian Smith improves the position. Paver takes it towards the post. Paver still going. Hornets have got to do the tackling. Dobson floats it out to Price, and Price breaking tackles. And Price, well, he's held up over the line. Well, another hurrying moment for the Hornets defence, but they've held it up well. Ball's driven in. Mike Kuiti battling for every inch. That's what every Hornets player's got to do now in his remaining 8 minutes. Simon Bamber gets back to his feet. Good work from the substitute. Good Hornets line. Brett Clark trying to use it. Out to Mike Kuiti, he's trying to look. In fact, the ball bounced back. Could have been off a Rydale York hand. And Brett Clark finds space up centre field. Brett Clark going through. Back to one, came off Rydale York hand. Well, a bad ball that Bob Eccles gets back to. Mike Kuiti wrapped up again. Been well policed this afternoon. Bob Eccles trying to straighten it up. Can Hornets come with one good attack now? Jeff Bimpson can't find a way through. Last tackle. Martin Hall to Bob Marsden. Marsden again, flings it out there to Bimson. Great tackle coming in though from Adrian Smith. Forces a turnover. Oh, looks suspiciously forward. Not given though. Tackling well. Simon Bamber. Dobson downfield, looks to have angled this one better. He has it, breaks Brian Garrity into touch right on the 22. Dale York, a man down. Looks to be everybody offside there, but not given. Brian Garrity. Tony Humphries. Another solid game. Bob Marsden. Brett Clark, he's got runners with Mike Kuwaiti. Ball's gone out to Bob Eccles, back inside to Dave Webster. A good tackle on Webster though. Bob Eccles, that's a big up and under. Plenty of Hornets players underneath it. And Brett Clark's got it, could go to Darren Abrams. He's chipped through, I thought there was space there. And he's kicked dead in desperation by a York defender. But I thought Brett Clark may have just had the option to pass to Darren Abrams. Obviously he was covered by a York defender, so he put in the little chip. But at least Hornets keeping it away from the danger end at the moment. That kick downfield to Dave Webster on his own 22. Well, Hornets have played a lot better this second half and they've needed to. Good run again from Bimson. Really has played well, as Roy said this afternoon. He's been busy. Bob Marsden. Can Hornets pull this one out at the death? Ball across to Brett Clark, to Mike Kuwaiti. Martin Hall picks it up well. It looks like slow motion as it goes to Bob Marsden, but Marsden's up the centre again. Well, what a great game again by Mobs Marsden on the last tackle. Drop goal effort by Bob Eccles. Doesn't go dead. Well, Hornets defence a little bit slow there. I think everyone presumed it was going dead. Unlucky, Brett Clark trying a little kick through. Ball quickly moved out on that far side. It's been dropped. Scooped up by Simon Bamber. Bamber's got it to Brian Garrity. So, Hornets, 3 minutes left on the clock. 12 points all. Can they pull this one out? Mike Kuwaiti. Big run from Kuwaiti. Oh, what a barnstormer this has been. Hornets looking for the forwards. Can anyone just run onto this ball now? Puncture this important hole. It's gone to Bob Marsden. Good work by Marsden under the post. Well, they should really try and score through hands. It's hard to get a drop goal effort in these conditions. Bob Eccles looking for runners. Matt Cowan, tackle, ball and all. Martin Hall, will he go from 18 half-back? Tries, but to no avail. Last tackle. Calland again. Bob Eccles into the in-goal area. Tapped around. And unfortunately, it ends up in Rydale York hands. Well, a good chance that for Hornets. Certainly Hornets have had the majority of the play in these last 10 minutes since the try. Dobson, bad ball, but it's well picked up by the substitute, who makes a little bit of progress. Last tackle. I imagine the kick's going to come. O'Sullivan got himself in a bit of a tangle.
Come on.
Jeff Bimson again doing good work. Dave Webster nowhere through there for the Hornets full back. Does well not to lose yardage. Bob Eccles trying to suck in defenders, does the job well. Brett Clark. Out to Mike Kuiti, plenty of numbers on that side for Hornets, but Darren Abrams fumbled. Unlucky that for Hornets. The Hornets can survive this set of 6. They may well come away with a share of the spoils this afternoon. I'm sure that Rydell York must just try and set this up now for the drop goal. Could of course come from long range. They've got the breeze at the backs. Most of the crowd are shouting drop goal. They want to move it a little bit closer first. It's come out here to the winger. Lee Deakin from Dobson. The drop goal effort goes well wide. It's unfortunate because I'm sure they'd have been able to run out the last 6 tackles there. So Bob Eccles forced to pump downfield. Picked up on the far side by the centre. And there goes the hooter. So it's been a good fight really from Hornets here this afternoon. Snatched a 12-all draw. And really how important that try of Bob Marsden's might look at the end of the season, Roy.
Yes indeed, and it was, well, it's a hard-earned point for the Hornets there. They might feel if they should have come here and won, but it was a battle that really from start to finish. And the York team getting a good ovation from their supporters. Imagine this tape might be quite popular with a few of the York supporters. But a really terrific afternoon's entertainment. Right, well, I hope you've all enjoyed our away coverage here from Rydell York. 12 points apiece it is then, and what a fantastic match that turned out to be. And the Hornets, well, I say management might be pleased in the end that we managed to get 1 league point out of it at the end with that super try there by Bob Marsden, and Hornets were certainly pressing towards them. But a fabulous match. As I said, if you're neutral, we can't ask for much better than that. End-to-end stuff all the way through. And I'm sure that this video now completed with London Crusaders match on as the first part of the set will be highly popular with the Horde supporters. These 2 match videos certainly are a winner with all the fans, and I'm sure this tape will be a super Christmas seller. Don't forget, of course, the club shop, the newly opened club shop, is now open during the day from 9:30 till 4:30, and the commercial office is open usually to 7 o'clock most evenings. You can pick up all the latest Hornet souvenirs, the shirts, the autographed rugby balls, but I'm sure the Hornets videos are proving highly popular. Last month, of course, as we said earlier on, it was a record month for video sales, and I'm sure November will probably be just the same. But from myself, Steve Royal, and myself here today, it's bitterly cold up here on the gantry. We're going now for a very welcome hot cup of tea and hopefully a pleasant journey home. Bye-bye from Rydell York. Good afternoon.